you know string theory and like all that, like quantum physics? No,
Okay.
like you've heard of them.
Yeah,
You've heard
yeah,
of them.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So Eric Weinstein is pioneering this thing called the theory of everything. And I've heard him talk about Joe Rogan before, but I'm like, dude, this is too. The way he was explaining it is like, what are you saying? But then on Pierce Morgan, I actually cut it up and put it on social media, and he explains what his theory of everything is, and I'm like, that actually makes way more sense. But maybe you disagree. I'll see what you think. So Einstein set the framework for how we live, which is a 4D reality,
Mhm.
right? Which is what are the 3 dimensions plus time,
Plus time. Yeah.
right? And what he's saying, what Eric Weinstein is saying, he's like, it's a at least 14 dimensional world. So the reason why, let me try and bring up his analogy. So if if you're playing music on a like a what do you like this old school
Records.
what do you, record? Thank you. If you're playing a record, right? You don't see the music. You're not hearing the music unless you put it all together.
Mm-hmm.
We need to put it on the thing and play it, right? So he's saying that is how we experience life. So the 4 dimensions that Einstein laid out are like us playing the record.
Mm-hmm.
But there's actually way more to our reality than the 4 dimensions. We're just experiencing it in 4 dimensions. Like we're playing back our reality in 4 dimensions, like the record playing on the thing.
Yeah.
But if you take those apart and you look at yourself in the room and like yourself watching the thing, you don't actually hear the music until you put them all together,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he's saying that he believes that our reality. He hypothesized, not a belief. He's like has the theory laid out that we're living in a 14-dimensional world, and that's why we're seeing paradoxes that make no sense within the quantum world. Like how can an atom be here and here at the same time? But that's because we're trying to fit that theory within a 4-dimensional reality.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying that if we can expand the dimensions of our reality, we can solve all these problems. Like he was saying Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
Like if there's a box and the cat is dead or alive,
Mm-hmm.
you won't know until you see the cat, right? That's a 4D reality thing.
Yeah.
But it can be alive and dead if you're doing multi-dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
And what that made me think of is like choice. You know how they say like if you look at a Marvel movie
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, if we just branched off of here, it would have been here.
Yeah.
Like if you went left instead of right,
Sure.
right? But those two realities are happening simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't we're experiencing one over the other given the choice we make.
Yeah.
In an alternate reality, you weren't my neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
And in this reality, you were my neighbor. But those realities are happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And if that's true, wait, is there anything? Yeah,
No.
fully makes sense, right?
Sure.
It's just choices and pathways that are like being experienced. That reality is just as real as this reality. It's just we're not experiencing that one because we chose this one, right? Which is interesting because then it makes you wonder about like determinism then. Because remember, we're so determined, like cause and effect, but maybe choices are real because of multidimensional theory.
Could be, yeah. But then it's a fraction of so many things, right? We have to see how that fits into.
No, totally, yeah. Like we don't know yet. That's a theory. That's why it's a theory, Because like the strongest one that makes sense to both of us is determinism, right? Cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
But that could literally just be a 4D theory. It works because we're living in 4D space.
Sure, yeah. Right.
But if we find out that our reality is actually multidimensional, then that actually gets thrown out the window. It's more like these are all the determined factors in this reality, then this reality, then this reality, in an infinite series of realities.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a kaleidoscope if you try and think of it in your mind. Like it's just
right.
They're fractaling off, They're all the same fractal at the end of the day, but it's like fractals on fractals on fractals. right? Like a neural net almost,
Mm-hmm.
like in synapses.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to visualize it. What does it look like, you know? So if that's true, that actually fits the UAP hypothesis. Because when people are saying that these are interdimensional beings, you're like, what are you? Sorry, Athena, it's going off. If these are interdimensional beings, like it actually makes sense that they're able to jump into a different alternate reality.
Yeah.
Because that's what a lot of people are saying. They're like, they're interdimensional. I'm like, what does that even mean? But then if you put the theory of everything where it's like, we're only experiencing this level of reality on four dimensions, but there's multi dimensions. So it's like, okay, maybe they are jumping into our time. They've figured out a way to jump into our time and jump out of it.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'm thinking, yeah, that could be one thing. Or it's like they may be doing something on their own planet, jumping, but it's like, you know how where two particles are at the same place or do two different places at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's maybe they don't know that they're reaching this reality at the same time.
Oh, that's super interesting. That's super interesting. I didn't even think about that. Okay, I get what you're saying. It's like, we'll take the atom bomb, because what they're saying is that when we exploded the atom bomb, that's when. So funny. It's almost like Athena doesn't want us to have this conversation. She's like, you guys are hitting onto the truth about reality. Stop talking, you know. But because that was weird timing, right? As soon as it started, yeah. So actually, that's so fascinating, because they say that UAP stuff really picked up when we launched the atom bomb, when we like detonated it. But what other theorists are saying is that for us, we experienced a blast, but you've actually exploded something on multiple dimensions. So just like you're saying that, like with the two particles appearing at independently but are connected, which is quantum physics, and they don't know how it works. What if what they're doing is inadvertently affecting our reality? That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Which is actually what we think happened with the atom bomb, because they're like, it was such a huge explosion, and that's when UAP stuff picked up. Because they probably got a signal like, well, what is happening over there? And like, what is this thing? So like, if we go into their reality, like, what if we're sharing this Earth on multiple dimensions, but then when we exploded the bomb, it blew up their building?
Right.
And they're like, why the frig did this building blow up?
Yeah. Right.
And now they're jumping to our dimension, being like, if you detonate more of those are going to blow up because we're sharing the space, but on different dimensions. Like, they went left, we went right.
Right.
But it's the same Earth.
Yeah.
Dude, that's trippy. Okay. It's trippy because that's exactly what David Grush said. What we just talked about. That's what he said. He read that in a paper, but it's not. It didn't click until I saw the theory of everything, and then you mentioned that two places at once. So now it's like in my mind, I'm like, oh, that actually explains what he was trying to say in front of Congress. But I was like, what are you talking about? Multidimensional.
Right. Okay.
But really though, maybe we accidentally destroyed something on their side, and now they're just like checking us out, and that's why they keep jumping to. I mean, it's a theory. Like, we don't know if it's true or not.
Sure.
But like, if the theory of everything's true, which is like multiple dimensions all happening simultaneously, maybe there are certain things that we can do that trigger other things in other dimensions happening on this Earth. How trippy would it be if? Okay, this is wild. So, do you remember the airliner? I don't know if this is true or not. A lot of people saying it's true. I haven't looked into it. Remember the airliner where it disappeared, like the Malaysian Airlines, and they can't find the plane?
Yes, I remember that one.
Right, and like it's just disappeared, and they're like, "Wait, what happened?" And we're just like, "I probably just like crashed in the ocean." So there was this video. There's this guy who's been obsessed with that airline thing, and he has a whole YouTube channel, and he shows how there was like this
Mhm.
footage of like orbs floating around the
Yeah.
the front of the plane, and then the plane disappeared into an alternate,
Sure.
like it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
disappeared. So what if it was jumping into that reality? And
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
what do you say?
No, I thought they found the wing.
Oh, okay, you're searching if they found the wing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't know. I
Because
haven't looked
I
deep into
watched
this.
I watched because they have a Netflix had a doc about that plane. I think.
Okay.
If that's the same one we're talking about. Like many years later, they did end up finding the wing. It was not where they thought it would be.
Oh, okay.
Something like
All
that.
right. Well, that's debunked then.
Something like that.
Okay, well, let's use that as like an analogy for what we're trying to describe here.
Mhm.
So what if you can jump through these like interdimensional portals where like in the blink of an eye our entire world could just shift in, like if you just jumped
Sure.
through that portal, all of a sudden just different buildings. But
Yeah,
it's the same
yeah,
Earth, different buildings.
Right.
Is there a movie like that? Because I would love to watch that movie.
If I don't know, it seems like there is, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But
It's almost like sliding doors that but that's not even like, that's not scientific. It's just, remember with Gwyneth Paltrow, she like misses the train and then it shows two different lives
oh yeah,
that she
yeah,
could
yeah.
have lived if she missed the train or didn't miss the train.
Mm-hmm.
And then they converge to this one point where they meet again.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that is that
True.
what's happening right now?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess we'll wait for the geniuses to tell us what's going on. Okay,
Mhm.
okay. Last thing, and I want to see your like. I'm curious to see if I can sway you on this one.
Yeah.
So, how am I gonna put this? Do you believe UAPs are real?
UAPs are real, yeah.
Oh, you do? You believe that they're real?
As an unidentified flying object.
Like the Tic Tac and all that? You believe that they're seeing it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Never mind. Then this won't go anywhere. Okay. Well, my thing for, let's say you don't believe that's
Okay,
real.
okay.
Okay. So you believe that the UAP, like all the footage, because like you have all the technology, bro. Like we're both on the same page. Like you have the IR, you have friggin' visual like identification. Like how much more do you need? Okay. So if you don't believe the UAPs are real, I thought you were gonna be like, no, like whatever. So let's say we're talking to somebody who doesn't believe they're real. So my question would be, do you believe in black holes?
Mhm.
Because you've never seen it, or like a cell. But I think I heard this on a podcast where like Mary Curie, or so the person who isotopes, like radiation.
Okay. Yeah,
Marie
yeah, yeah.
Curie or something.
Someone
You know,
found
trying
out.
to say
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Some scientist.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like,
So she needed like 0.0001 grams of that thing to like win the Nobel Prize,
Mhm.
saying that these radioisotopes will affect us, something like that. That's such a small amount compared to the amount of evidence we have about UAPs. But we won't acknowledge UAPs publicly. Well, they've publicly acknowledged them, like the government has, but no, it's not like commonly accepted. Like I can find so many people
Sure,
like, oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
just
yeah.
dust,
No.
dust on the whatever. You know what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say?
yeah, I know.
And that's because of stigma. It's like
Sure.
the level of scrutiny is much less for like other scientific things than it is for UAPs, even though we have way more overwhelming evidence of these things.
Mhm.
Like even Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? He's like, oh, I'm sure it's just a machine error or something. He like refuses to acknowledge UAPs.
Mhm.
Maybe he's being paid by like the propaganda machine, but it's just weird to me that like
I don't think he's being paid. I just think that he
he's
needs
being like very
he needs more evidence in that sense of actual things.
okay, but okay, totally. So then there's Michio Kaku,
Mhm.
right? Who's like the evidence is there, and the probability is so high. There's something going on with UAPs.
Mhm.
Michio Kaku, like a renowned scientist, is acknowledging that this is here, and we need to figure out what's going on with aliens,
Sure.
right? How many more experts do you need? Because I'm listening to a podcast right now called Merge Podcast, and basically he's an ex-fighter pilot who saw these things on the daily. I remember I told you like he would like fly out and then he'd see them, he'd come back from his mission, and then he'd still see them. Like,
Right.
We're seeing 100 of these all the time,
Mhm.
right? So he started a podcast and was tackling the UAP stuff through aviation safety. Because if you make it like a safety protocol, you have to look into it.
Yeah.
Right. Versus like it's something tangible.
Sure.
Right? So he's having tons of experts come on and talk about their experiences and be like, yeah, I almost hit this. Yeah, I see them on the daily. This is what happened to me. And they're not like randos.
Mhm.
They're all high level scientists, high level pilots. So my question is, how much more evidence do we need before everyone fully acknowledges that there's something going on that we have no idea about? And we're not the center of the universe.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like, like
Yeah.
was it Galileo who said like the sun is at the center, not Earth?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's like,
right. Well,
how much
in
more do we
Western
do?
in Western textbooks.
Oh, but they knew before.
Yeah,
Totally. Yeah, totally. So like, how much more do we need to push this envelope? Or maybe we're going through it right now, which is like was it Copernican revolution or something? We're not the
Maybe.
center of.
Yeah,
I forgot the
I
title.
think so. Yeah.
So some revolution. That's why they called the documentary UFO Revolution, to mirror that. It's like the Copernican revolution. Like we're not at the center, and there's something else going on.
hmm
And I think we're about to fully open that door and be like, yeah, guys, we're not at the center, and there are these multidimensional beings. We don't know what they are. Like I really feel that because you can't have all these geniuses say that this is going on.
Sure. Yeah.
And still make it like, no, they're crazy.
hmm
Like you're going to tell Michio Kaku he's crazy. Let's just throw out all of the stuff he's been working on if he's crazy.
You're right.
You know?
Yeah.